and Simon would fight it out for second place. We are going to get in this game. Braxis Holdout, Astral Authority versus Dignitas. Game 1 of the round 2, or day 2 of the round robin stage for the Gold Club World Championships. We're going to have Dahaka be the ban out for Dignitas. Astral Authority responding with the Vala ban, which eliminates a lot of things in the draft, essentially. I mean, Ariel is still an option because Gul'dan is still on the table, but by eliminating the Vala, you're eliminating the ability, really, to draft those things early. Dignitas actually picking up Sylvanas. Normally, Sylvanas is not prioritized. I'm going to turn off the cam, guys, just because... Actually, can I? I'm just going to turn off the cam so that we can see the entire draft. I'll turn it back on after. Sylvanas is not normally prioritized in Braxis Holdout in the pro scene because she doesn't do very much to help you win the point. That's the reason that people say. But she helps you snowball if you can get the points. But if you don't, she doesn't help you win the points. And if you're not actually winning the points, then the snowball effect doesn't matter. However, we've seen Chinese teams do the runaround with Sylvanas on this map and just constantly rotate and push in, and it forces the other team to respond. And if they mess up their rotations, they get split, then you get kills pretty much for free. Astral Authority gonna lock in Tychus ETC. With Vala off the table, the Tychus is sort of a given. Tychus and Vala occupy the same spot right now as the ranged hyper carries. ETC is the most highly prioritized tank in the game right now. No contest. Dignitas gonna pick up that Malfurion, pretty much as expected. I would expect them to lock in their tank here just because they don't get tank locked. Unless they don't care. If they don't care if they get Johanna or Tyrael. Nope, they are gonna pick up the Johanna. Hey, Lamosaurus. Oh, lame. Yeah. Lamosaurus, I saw your tweet. If you would like to co-cast with me, you can hop on. You can get on a Skype call or something. I saw your tweet about wanting to cast over the clean feed. And it'd be nice to have some company, actually. Astral Authority, gonna ban Sergeant Hammer. They do actually have a lot of protection for Hammer with the Johanna. Johanna sort of excels at standing in front of people and making sure you can't get to that person. Lieutenant Morales is going to be the ban out for Dignitas. That is one of the highest sustain heroes on this map. Brightwing, Malfurion, Ariel with the right support, and Morales are like the 4 supports on this map that are in a lot of ways the scariest. Astral Authority going to lock in that Alarak for the Soul Lane and Brightwing. The Dahaka ban actually working against Dignitas here. Alarak, Dahaka's one of the few heroes that can consistently match Alarak in lane. Zarya is going to be the picker for Dignitas. That is a lot of shields. That's a lot of sustain. Dignitas is really drafting hard around winning their 4-man right now. And Zeratul. I kind of feel like Dignitas is going to try to do the rotation thing. They're going to try and abuse Sylvanas and just constantly rotate around the map. This is a strategy we've seen Chinese teams doing, but it's a strategy I literally have not seen anyone else do anywhere. So Dignitas might have picked it up in their time in China. And we are going to have Tehran to be the pickup for Astral Authority. That does give them a beautiful follow-up to Power Slide that gives a lot of damage. Tychus, Tehran, Brightwing plus ETC should be enough. Damage to secure those kills. A little bit of an interesting draft from both teams. Can you explain this draft? I actually wanted to do a video on it. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but basically all the Chinese teams are doing, and this is literally what they're doing, and it sounds as silly as it is. They clear the wave, and they push into the towers if there's no one in the lane. If there's someone in the lane, they go to the other lane, and they just have Sylvanas. And this forces and because they have better wave clear, right, this forces the other team to stop, clear the wave, and then mount up and chase them. And they just start doing direct damage to the buildings so they can just walk up to because they have a Sylvanas. And if anyone comes to stop them, they just leave and go back to the other lane. They just keep doing this ping pong. And despite the fact that the rotations are so long on Braxis, which they are, the enemy team often has bad communication and ends up getting split. And because they have some high damage burst heroes to burst the towers down, but also to burst heroes down, they'll be in the situation where suddenly one person messes up the rotation and is in the wrong lane, and they just kill them. And then because they kill them, they can push into the towers directly. I've only seen Chinese teams do it, but it has been pretty popular for some of their teams as a strategy. It's the reason I didn't know at the time, but the reason I saw some prioritization of Sylvanas on Braxis, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to be doing that. You cannot get the Golden Horse. The Golden Horse is exclusive to the Chinese server, and you have to either be attending the event live or scan the QR code in time. It's just gold foil. It's chocolate underneath. I'm pretty sure that would make a lot of people want it more, not less. Free chocolate plus a horse? Like, what is the downside here? With that strat work on Battlefield, there's just something on Braxis that makes it effective. The thing that makes it effective on Braxis is the fact that as long as you control 1 point, the enemy team's not getting any benefit out of the objective. It would not work on Battlefield with Eternity. When is the game actually starting? Normally the game starts 3 to 4 minutes after the draft ends. What would be a good counter for that strategy? Hammer. Hammer, Zarya, Shen. Heroes that can tank tower shots, that have their own way of dealing with tower shots. And when Sylvanas goes into the other lane, you just push harder because you have more siege damage and you have better shot absorption, or equal shot absorption, I should say. Like, if you wanted to counter it on a strategic level, just outpush them. We are going to be getting into the game here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll turn off my cam. We will have Astral Authority on the left-hand side. We'll have June on Brightwing, Cattle on Tychus, Koth and Luck on Tehran, Fury on ETC, and Psalm on Alarak. On the right-hand side, we will have Team Dignitas, Authoro on Zeratul, I can't do this, Bakery on Malfurion, Mene on Zarya, JPL on Johanna, and Snitch on Sylvanas. We're actually going to have a little bit of an interesting split here. We're going to have Sylvanas and Zeratul start out going top, and the rest start out going bottom. This is a 2-3 split from Dignitas. This is not common at all, to say the least. The Tyrandal did sort of, I think, catch the Sylvanas there, so they know exactly where she is. Thero. I can't do it. And both teams just hanging out, waiting, not really going to do anything at all. The pre-hotting onto JPL, that does last for 15 seconds, and even the shield from Zarya coming down. That was mostly to get the energy, but JPL is definitely not going to lose any real health here in this scenario. Already stacked to the gills. And we're actually going to see June and Psalm two-manning top lane. So this Dignitas is forcing a 2v2 and a 3v3, whereas we almost always see a 1v1 and a 4v4. I'm not sure this is actually a good response from Astral Authority to be playing Dignitas' game in this regard. Especially because it loses them a significant amount of their follow-up damage, or follow-up CC to the CC chain they have. They don't have Poly, they won't have the damage from Q, which actually if you hit the center does do a lot of damage. They're really looking for that burst. It's about as loud as the game sound get, guy. Let me know if it's even louder. I actually can turn it up a little bit if the game sound is still too quiet. I figured out how to do it. We're going to see a nice rotation onto Psalm here. He is going to go down. This is the benefit of having Zeratul. He can just get on top of people and kill them, especially if he has a little bit of follow-up. His recent buffs, he's even stronger at it in some ways. The first objective is going to come up. You're going to see top claimed by Dignitas, but bottom is claimed by Astral Authority, and we're going to see JPL walk up here. This is going to force Astral Authority to fight for the point. They can force Johann off here. Johann off the point here. They do have Tychus. That's something that JPL has to be thinking about constantly. And Mene doesn't have any energy. Zarya without energy is basically just not very scary as a hero, and you don't... It's hard... The Astral Authority is doing a really good job of making sure they don't hit shielded targets, so they're not going to have a easy time doing it. June almost goes down, does end up going down. Mene finally has some energy, starting to put out that damage with the grenades. We are actually seeing the full grenade build, and a beautiful stun and vulnerability onto JPL. That is a free stun. The shield, obviously a little bit late there. Wasn't available, though. It wasn't cooldown. But currently a full level lead from Dignitas, and Sylvanas just being a nuisance. There's no other word for it. If you're losing in either lane and Sylvanas is there, you're going to start to take real structure damage, and that real structure damage will eventually put you so far behind. Overtime. Big leads in Heroes of the Storm are built out of incremental advantages, and we're starting to see that incremental advantage add up with that Sylvanas pick. Also, Haunting Wave over the wall actually allowing extremely fast rotations for Dignitas. So Sylvanas is popping in between bottom and top as necessary, whereas Zeratul is actually the solo laner in the top lane, and is doing very well against Alarak. MV Black has run Zeratul as a solo laner for a really long time, particularly on Sky Temple. It's one of their favorite pickups. That's surprising. We are going to see the grenade build here out of Dignitas for Zarya. It is going to be as long range as possible. Basically playing Zarya as a ranged assassin. And again, a lot of damage going on to JPL, but that's a Johanna. Very difficult to burst out, especially with only 3 people. Generally when we see these burst style comps, we see them someone more like a Jaina. Not really Tychus. Tychus is not sort of the optimal pickup for this style of comp. You want something like a Li Ning, a Jaina, one of the mages that has a lot of burst damage. And again, in the top lane, we do see a 2v2 going on, but June is extremely low. Gets the polymorph off, but not enough. Does end up losing. Snitch is extremely low. Does end up trading 1-for-1. Psalm might be able to get out of this. It does get out of this. The Singularity Spike misses. That's actually critical. And Uthero is going to be forced to back off. We're going to see Psalm. Looks like he's going to think about rotating up, grabbing that globe just for the sustain. The globe generators are actually a point on this map that doesn't get talked about enough. The sustain they give you is massive, especially after the globe change. The amount of health and mana that globes give you back is substantial, and having an extra globe every 45 seconds that you can control really helps you sustain in lane. And this is all about sustain because you have to fight for those points constantly. If you're not constantly controlling at least 1 point, you're losing the game. You're losing the objective. And we can see Astral Authority is actually significantly far behind in this regard, 66% to 0% for objective control. And Dignitas is trying to get an early game tempo advantage with this strategy of damaging the buildings directly. And they are, getting a little tiny bit ahead in XP, but if they lose the objective, Astral Authority is going to be able to reset that, and they will not be in good shape. But Dignitas doing a much better job now controlling the top shrine. They haven't let it go for quite a while. Mene, again, 0 energy. Which is, again, not where you want to be as Zarya. You always want to have some energy. Unfortunately, the Astral Authority's team is a little bit too scary to walk up and just steal energy directly from the towers, which is the normal way Zaryas will get energy in lane. It's interesting to see both teams' strategy here. Dignitas is 100% focused on the wave clear and on pushing in with the Sylvanas, and Astral Authority is 100% focused on controlling the points. And Dignitas will get an early lead off of this, but Astral Authority will be able to reset it as soon as the objective gets collapsed on. It's a question of how much damage they can do. This wall is actually gone completely. Psalm ends up going down, and they're going to be able to pick up the well here momentarily. Brightwing, is a global, but cannot Z in without a target already here, so Som going down means the top lane is going to be uncontested for quite a while, unless Astral Authority rotates someone else. But you can see Dignitas is starting to be aggressive here. They don't want to let that rotation happen. They're like, we're going to come in on you. We know this is 3v4. We don't care. We're going to make sure you can't rotate. And we're actually going to get 10 first off the back of this because we're going to have all that damage being done top by Sylvanas. Athero rotates down, help out the team. And if Dignitas can prevent the objective from getting capped until they have level 10, they will have a 100-72 Zerg wave because AA will no longer be able to contest the points. And the brilliance, the benefit of this strategy by Dignitas is going to be amply demonstrated. But both points currently under control of Astral Authority, 82%, and Dignitas does manage to take back the bottom beacon. Thank you, Royce. Athero. Athero. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. You're going to see AA Fury using Power Slide just for the distance stage, and the beautiful VP onto 2 targets. We're going to have a lot of damage here. Cattle immediately with the slide out, but he gets silence anyway. The follow-up silence from Sylvanas, so much silence. That's 5.5 seconds of silence, and they are going to get 1 pick off of it. That's a lot of heroics burn for 1 kill. But at this point in the game, 1 kill is enough to secure the objective because 11 versus 9. And Sylvanas will also allow them to just push in on this fort. This is going to be the second fort of the game going down for Dignitas before a Zergwave has even spawned. They are forced to back up. 10 is now acquired for Astral Authority. We are going to see Counter-Strike picked up. Odin, Starfall, Blink Heal. I kind of imagine we're going to see Stage Dive. There are quite a few nerfs from Mosh Pit, and we're actually going to see Mosh Pit picked up for Dignitas. They don't want more globals. They don't want to out-rotate. They just want to win the team, or for Astral Authority. They don't want to out-rotate. They just want to do the team fight as hard as possible. And I kind of respect that decision, considering they've been, in some ways, losing the rotations, losing the pressure war, but they have been doing exceptionally well at picking people off and getting these team fights. We are going to see 96 to 82% right now. Zeratul is going to rotate up cap the top lane. Som in the top is having a hard time pushing the lane back up to where the beacon is, so he has to make that decision of does he leave the lane extremely pushed in and get the beacon. And we're going to see Zeratul hanging out. Now he finally starts to rotate down. VP is going to be up in 7 seconds. Twilight Dream in 1. Blessed Shield does get used here. And we are going to see him start to poke. Expulsion Zone, splitting the fight in half. We are going to see Odin come down. This is the, one of those timings where you can get a lot of value out of Odin if you know a fight's about to happen, but you have to force the fight once Odin goes down, or it can be basically wasted. Mene pops his shield. Cattle actually stops attacking, not giving out for energy. Really nice decision there by Cattle. Really important to never attack the Zarya when she has a shield up unless you're confident your team can just burst her down and kill her from 100 to 0. And again, we're going to have Som on the beacon top, Zeratul's rotating, and it looks like the Astral Authority is actually going to manage to get 94, 96, 98, 100, 100 to 96. They're currently a little bit more than a level behind. Astral Authority needs to make sure they get a lot of value out of this slightly superior Zerg push, but it's really not that much stronger. It's only slightly superior. You're going to see Athero in the back, waiting for that VP, potentially. He's going to see... Oh, he actually gets face melted away. Actually, that would have been a decent VP with 3-man VP. We do see the Blessed Shield, though, setting up for a 2-man VP. And we are going to see... the Twilight Dream attempt. But Power Slide stops it temporarily, but does not actually interrupt it mid-cast, so did not go on that 10-second cooldown. And we're actually going to see Twilight Dream secure that kill onto Alarak. Turon's still in the top lane, pushing. We are going to see the Sylvanas start to push in. 13 to 12 right now. This is a pretty significant talent tier for Dignitas. They do have Unstoppable Competitor, which means that Zarya is going to be much less vulnerable to these burst change. Burning Rage, Windrunner for that outplay potential, Mending Strikes, and Ice Block. See a lot of damage put on to... You say everyone's just going to be able to back up. That fight was not going to go on as long as I thought it was. 13 to 12. Dignitas doesn't really want to fight. They just want to continue their pressure game. If they can catch someone out of position, get that kill, that's fine. But they're not interested in taking straight up fights if they can possibly avoid it. And we are going to see a huge amount of damage going down on BTC here. They sort of baited them into that position where they were very well positioned. A beautiful 4-man condemn. Oh my god, JPL, the condemn of his life right there. Actually going to secure 2 more kills off the strength of that condemn. The root comes down, they secure a 3rd kill. That is 4 for none. Pushing in here with a Sylvanas, and this could easily be a keep for Dignitas. They really only had to win 1 fight once they had that Sylvanas, and the Zerg's still alive. The Zerg's still alive in the top lane. It is just the Guardians. They have incredible range, but they aren't very high on damage, so they're normally not very scary. But the fact that this is the lane that the next Zerg wave is going to be in for Dignitas is incredibly scary. Dignitas being like, okay, we're out of mana. We're not out of health. We actually have... Everyone has full health. But we're out of mana. Let's just back off, get full mana, and then we'll casually walk back up, get 16, and see what else we can do about bullying Astral Authority on this map. We're going to see an invade here for Astral Authority. They know they need to make something happen before Dignitas hits 16. Dignitas reluctantly gives up the camp. They're like, okay, yeah, we're going to wait till we're 16 to fight you. We're not going to fight on the even talent tiers. We're not going to let you fight in a situation that's actually favorable for you. We'll give up the camp. It's not that big a deal. And Dignitas just playing very calm, very patient all game long. Unfortunately, it is going to be a little bit difficult for them to soak 16 just because of how pushed in their lanes are. Astral Authority doing them a favor, pushing the lane out, making sure those catapults won't directly be threatening core anytime soon. But on the back of that, Dignitas is going to be able to clear that wave, get 16, and now they're all mounted up and they're looking for this fight. They are going to grab this bottom siege camp because it is just available. We're going to see... Astral Authority is actually positioning for a fight here. It looks like they're trying to get some sort of advantage. They are not going to be able to win this fight. Psalm is probably going to go down here. We do see the counter-strike coming in Starfall, zoning everyone out. Psalm does end up going down. And the VP actually catching 2 people. We're going to see Tychus pop up that Odin. Malfurion cannot get in range time. Both the silences have been used anyway. And the VP ended up amounting to absolutely nothing. But they do get the pick off on Psalm. The objective is not yet respawned, though. The beacons are not available. So all this is going to do is allow Dignitas to potentially grab boss. And we're actually seeing Blessed Hammer on Johanna. JPL going for as much damage as possible. No respect at all for that Tychus. Does not feel like he needs imposing presence for that survivability. And it looks like boss is going to allow... They're going to allow it to leash. Astral Authority did manage to force Dignitas off of boss. And they're just going to back up in good order and focus on getting the beacons. We're going to see Fury actually get another beautiful condemn. Wow, these condemns have been so incredibly strong. Mosh onto absolutely nothing. I'm pretty sure that was intended to be a zoning Mosh to make sure that no one pursued, but that's not how you want to be using Mosh. That's a 120-second cooldown. And Fury is actually going to go down anyway. He does finally end up biting the big one. We're going to have Cattle. Does manage to dodge the root in time. Does not get secured. That kill would have been 100% secured if that root had hit. And we're seeing real damage done to core by the catapults pushing in. 100 to 0 Zerg wave for Dignitas. And that's probably just going to be game. I don't really think that Astral Authority can possibly hold the Zerg wave without any buildings in the lane. The Zerg don't scale as fast as they used to. They're not as strong as they used to be. They did get nerfed, but currently they're an incredibly... And look at these condemns. Conviction, didn't even pick up Conviction at level 7 for the increased movement speed. Those are just raw condemns. JPL doing them the perfect time over and over and over again. Look how fast that core is just melting. That will be GG. Game 1 going over to Dignitas.